4, 3, 2, 1. Greetings, everyone. This is Annestacia, or Ann Komarovsk, Ann K. Someone actually recommended I change my last name to just K. K. Dot. I couldn't even say it right. So I'm here live on PCH in Malibu, and I just came from Station 70, LA County Fire Department Station 70. And the reason I was there is because they were flying the 3 flags. They were flying the U.S. flag, the California flag, and the, well, they call it the Progress Pride flag, which is like a weird version of the, like some weird version of a flag. So the controversy is that the only flag that should fly on flagpoles on government buildings should be the U.S. flag in the state. That's it. Anything else should be on another pole somewhere. So they were flying a huge American flag. One flag, not even the state flag. And today, surprise, I am using the mic. See? So that's what I use. Little road there. So one thing, if you see the red light on, it's recording. So let me turn it on. Hold on, if I can do that. Okay. I don't know. Did I get it right? No, I might have turned it off. Oh, live television. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Okay. Okay, Station 88. Okay, Squad 88, which is right next to me here, just got a call. I heard it on my radio. So as you remember, we can't talk to them. See, we can only hear. But this can talk if it was programmed to. So Station 88 right here in Malibu is going out on a call. So I'm hearing them on my radio. So they might be coming by unless it goes the other way. So the reason I do this live, because you can't put the ketchup back in the packet. And it's important. I've been working on a few stories. The homeless problem issue that, dominated the election, the governor's race, right? Which, by the way, is not official yet. So it hasn't been certified. And second, the federal government might investigate. Yeah, it could end up overturning a couple of elections. But nevertheless, bad cop Sheriff Bianco probably won't make it. There's a lot of controversy about him wearing and using government equipment and uniform to campaign in, which is unfair to the rest of us, isn't it? Because I didn't get to use a car. I didn't get to fly and meet with the cattlemen in the in Central California. All this stuff in his office. Just a lot going on. And KNBC, Conan Nolan, really just kind of exposed the whole thing. But he didn't. It had been exposed before. It's just nobody pays attention. It's about credibility. Now, do you give Conan Nolan credibility? Now, you should, but he also kept you in the dark. Because there were 61 candidates for governor, and he didn't interview even 10. So, what were they hiding and trying to keep from you, okay? And I have a lot of respect for Conan Nolan, and I did reach out to him numerous times about nonpartisan governor. So, like I said, that race is still going on. So, dealing with that, the homeless issue, the reason I mention that is today at 11 o'clock, they have 11:30, they have a gathering where they gather all the homeless, and there was approximately 24 homeless people. Okay, homeless people identified themselves as homeless. They gathered here in Malibu, behind the Chevron station on Webway and PCH. So not far from where I'm at here. So they gather and they try to see what their needs are and give them food. And I have a video. If I have it, I'll put it over here now. And they don't want their picture taken. And they asked me politely not to take their picture. So I obliged, but I was able to get a little bit, and previously I was able to get a lot more video and their prayer, but this time around they just wanted to be a little more quiet. And we have to be careful, because somebody said it's about right of privacy. Well, it's a public street, so there is no privacy expected. But there was an attack on a camera person trying to shoot them at the LA County building. Yeah. And also they had a stabbing there between a homeless person and another. And they arrested that individual, but 2 days later he was back on the streets. There you go. So I guess we can also reach out to Lost Hills Sheriff Station, find out why they don't push this, or what's the deal with the, excuse me, the, what do they call that, district attorney's offices that don't prosecute this kind of stuff. Because, sorry, the radio's going off. Let me bring that down a little. So that's the story I was working on, and there's two measures. We paid in 2024, there was a tax called Measure A. That's a half-cent sales tax increase, LA County. Oh, here. Do you hear the fire department? You might hear them. Yeah, they're coming this way. We funded a half-cent sales tax increase in LA County to deal with homeless services, which has raised billions of dollars. Now, here. That's McCormick Ambulance going to that call with Station 88. I don't know if Station 88 took the shortcut, or I don't know where they're at, but they didn't pass by me here yet. So Measure A funded LA County sales tax increase. You guys all said yes to a half-cent sales tax increase for homeless services. And in California, we agreed on Prop 1 for another half-cent increase in sales tax. So that's billions of dollars that's not making it to the streets. You're paying for it, but you're not getting the service. If there was 24 homeless individuals here that don't want to necessarily be on the streets, that means that money's not making it here. And that's a problem. We need to hold governance accountable across the nation. And most of this, believe it or not, most of it has to do with partisan politics. That's what they kept saying, politics. I keep saying I'm not a politician, and I'm not. I just am for good governance. I'm a member of the Fourth Estate. Keep asking what it is. The Fourth Estate is the highest level of news media, which is nonpartisan. It's the highest level. If I'm out here doing a story, it's because mainstream media is screwing it up. Yeah, the Fourth Estate. So that's who I represent, the Fourth Estate News. And speaking of the Fourth Estate, before I get lost, okay, we have the Topanga New Times, which I picked up at Malibu City Hall. And I picked this up, which is the Malibu Times. I picked this copy up at the library, where I was returning a book and some binoculars. So they don't rent binoculars. They loan them out. But my fiance thought it was too much risk for me to hold on to them any longer. So they only let you have them for a week anyway. So I just took it back, took the book back as well. So see if everything's in order. Yeah, okay, good. So see, I voted. And speaking of voting, this one's coffee stained. I'm sorry, because I went to Starbucks. I had to get some more coffee, so I went to Starbucks. They say go to Starbucks if you want some answers. So I went to Starbucks. And with that said, is trying to get people to register and vote. And that's a big thing. We have an election coming up, believe it or not. In November, we have the statewide election, but also your local municipalities can have an election too. Here in Malibu, we'll have an election for city council, 2 positions. Both are partisans. Wouldn't it be nice to have a Malibu City Council that was nonpartisan? Concept. So I was handing these out today. I handed one out to an SCE, Southern California Edison employee, in a nice spiffy pickup truck, and to one of the homeless individuals. I put it in his little bag. So it says, register to vote and do nonpartisan if you can, because you don't have to pick a party. You're not forced to pick a party. So if you're not forced to do it, don't. Okay? So you have choices. Sorry, this one has a saying on it. But it's still, this is a big deal. And how do we get more people to register and vote and care about, voting? And not only that, nonpartisan governance. Okay, you need to fill one of these out and modify it and just change it to no party preference. It's really quite simple. And how do we get these in front of people? That is the question that's been coming up. So I hear another siren. It's been the question that most people have been bringing up, is how do we get more people to... Oh, the sheriff department's coming down here. So sheriff department's responding to this call here. They're code 3. You're going to see them going by here. Stand by. Yeah. See the... He's here? Yeah. The highway patrol. That's the highway patrol. Oh, that was a highway patrol going code 3. Probably see that accident where we saw McCormick going. So, registering to vote. And so I was going to go down to City Hall to see what the requirements are to run for City Council. You know, keep your options open, right? Public participation is very important. So, those of you in Malibu and your communities, check to see if you have an election. Perhaps you want to run as a nonpartisan, because independents are like really skyrocketing. If you're involved with partisan politics, like Republicans or Democrats, right now it's a big problem because that works against you. Independent, nonpartisan governance is what people really want. They're tired of all this politics. So there you have it. I mean, the other story I'll mention here, because it's in process, the data. This is just because you want to know technically why the phones are flipped. When it's live, for some reason, the phones flip. So that's why everything's backwards. I don't know why they do that. The phone shooting me right now is an iPhone 17 Pro. This is a 13 Pro, okay? Big story that I've been working on right now is Apple apparently has in the past been served with court orders to release data and passwords, right? We're trying to get clarification because we actually have a pending request with Apple Incorporated about the release of information from a person's iPhone and their iMac computer. So they want me to release a lot more information than is required. But a California Superior Court judge out of Los Angeles ordered Apple Incorporated to release the information to the estate. So the thing is, well, that's not a big deal. I mean, your parents or your family should have access to your phone. That's not necessarily true, because when you give a person access to that deceased person's phone, you also give them access to my phone or something like that. If you were messaging somebody, they can give them access. And depending on what their involvement was with your community, government, there might be a lot of sensitive information that you never want to see out there. So this is a very big situation we're dealing with right now, because Apple is not really being all that upfront. They're asking me for more information than I should have to provide. So I'm working with them, and they opened up a case number, but I have enough information to go with the story. The thing is, we're not clear if they actually released the information. And that would mean anything you do on this phone can be subject to a court order. They can force you to unlock it. Now, I already knew that because I was in federal court before, and I witnessed a case where the judge ordered a person to try to unlock it. So, but if you do multiple times, it locks the phone. Now, that was federal court. This is Apple. This is a case out of LA County where Apple is being asked to provide passwords and data, access to the data. And here's the bigger problem, or bigger issue, most of us, and journalists, and those involved in high-level communications, we don't use regular apps. We use things such as Signal, which could be a possible false sense of security. Signal, the Signal app. People use Telegram. I don't use Telegram, I use Signal. Now, if they get access to that phone, they're going to get access to Signal. Now, it auto-logs in. So there's all kinds of problems, concerns here that you should be aware of, is that your phone is not as secure as you think. Now, there's two levels of... The reason I'm telling you this is because it's better to put it out there. You don't have to watch this. You don't have to learn. Okay? So, but that's up to you. If you want to learn, then you'll listen. So we have the password, right? So we have the whole password. We have to get, type in a password to get beyond that screen. Okay? So we have our password for our Apple ID. But also some people have the super high level encryption key, the 28-digit key that has to be provided. For anybody to get access to it, you need to provide that key. So if you ever lose it, you're in deep trouble. You'll never get into your Apple account. Which some of us hope that happens because, you know, we don't really want people to get into our Apple ID account, especially if you have sensitive information, correct? Yeah. And like I said, depends on what level you're at. Now, it really depends who uses a phone. Could you imagine, like, you know, who uses an iPhone? What celebrities and stuff? And if they die, they can get the access to their phone, their data, and who they're messaging and all kinds of stuff. Politicians. This we need to really investigate a bit more. So be aware of it. Somebody said about Google, and so the whole Samsung phone, which I do have a Samsung phone as well. See, so don't use it that much. It's got a nice camera, but doesn't play nice with Facebook. So it does it like this way rather than the proper way. So that's it. I'm going to hop on over to Malibu City Hall and see what it takes to get nominated to run for city council. So the other thing too, grab a paper and look at the ads and stuff, because that's how I guess not the fourth estate, the mainstream media. This is mainstream media. Okay, so in other words, you have to advertise to get in here. You know, you have to advertise, and that's how it gets supported. If you don't support your paper and the advertisers, or mention the fact you saw their ad in the paper, then they can't survive. And many papers across the country are shutting down a huge amount. So it's getting harder and harder. So that's kind of where the whole fourth estate comes from, self-funded. We don't depend on any other funding, so we can do whatever we want. We don't have to appease government officials. So, but then again, we use this platform, Facebook, but they're well aware that I'm on here, so, and what I'm doing. So that's it. That's going to be the quick update. I just highly encourage you to join, be on the right side of history, and become a nonpartisan, because independent is a party. So in my case, I'm no party. Yeah, you can look me up. Annestacia Komarovsk, no party. So it's going to be interesting. So I'll let you be. And it's a lovely day here in Malibu, California. It's very comfortable. It's a nice place to live. So I'll say goodbye. Take care. And God bless.